How come did number 10 Georgia Tech women's volleyball lose to a then unranked 14-9 Miami, Florida team? I'm going to dive into that. That happened last night. Overall, Georgia Tech had 49 kills on 148 attempts with 21 errors, 46 assists in the match, 8 service aces, 8 service errors, 5 receiving errors, 55 digs, 2 solo blocks, 25 assisted blocks, 4 blocking errors, and 1 ball handling error. So overall in team blocks, 14.5. Now for Miami, Florida, 58 kills on 157 attempts with 31 errors, 51 assists, 5 service aces, 5 service errors, 6 receiving errors, 62 digs, 17 assisted blocks, and 1 blocking error, which is 8.5 blocks, by the way. So I'm going to go by this on a set-by-set basis. Miami, Florida, the score in the first set was Georgia Tech 25-18, but the next three were in favor of Miami, Florida. I'm not joking with you on this one. 25-22, 25-22, 25-22. 3 in a row, yeah. The first set, Georgia Tech had 10 kills on 25 of attempts with 3 errors. The side eye was 11 for 18. Miami, Florida had 14 kills and 10 errors on 37 attempts, 11 for 25 on side outs. That's a big difference. Now, the second set, Miami, Florida had 14 kills and 6 errors on 31 attempts, 16 for 22 on the side out. Georgia Tech had 11 kills and 6 errors on 30 attempts, 16 for 25 on the side out. Miami, Florida had 15 kills and 9 errors on 45 attempts, 14 for 23 on side out. Georgia Tech had 12 kills and 7 errors on 46 attempts, 13 for 24 on the side out. In Miami, Florida, in the fourth set, 15 kills and 6 errors on 44 attempts, 14 for 22 on the side out. Now, Georgia Tech had 16 kills, which is 1 more, and 5 errors, which is 1 less, on 47 attempts, but 14 for 25 on the side out. In terms of tie scores, like the first set had 6, the second set had 11, third set 7, fourth set 12. Now lead changes, there were 4 lead changes in the first, 4 lead changes in the second, 2 lead changes in the third, 6 lead changes in the fourth. So based on these numbers, as you could tell, it does kind of make sense in some areas on how come it occurred. An upset occurred. And an upset even occurred, but it was on the road. Granted, it was. Now, for the next 3 matches I saw, like besides the one tomorrow for both teams and next week, I'm not going to go all the way into the rest of the year per se, because there is a ton. But Georgia Tech has Florida State. That's 7-5 in the conference, so they cannot sleep on them by any means. But you never know. And that match is on the road even. But then they have a rematch with Louisville, who is by far they're like the second place team in the ACC. Then they have that's the only match. And the following match, which is November 18th, since I have a week off, is Clemson, who is currently the second worst team in the conference, 3-9 in the ACC, 12-2 overall as of right now. Now, Miami, Florida, they better watch out for a letdown match. They better watch out. Usually, luckily for them, the next 2 are against Clemson, the second worst team in the ACC. Granted, the first one's at home, the second one's on the road. So, and the road is tough sometimes. And then Syracuse, which is at home. So Syracuse is 6-7 in the ACC, 10-13 overall. So basically, like, eighth best team in the ACC. That's not as daunting compared for the rest of the schedule. Apparently, it looks like from Miami, Florida. I mean, not to go too much further, they have Duke and Florida State. Florida State is still tough. That's the toughest one remaining by far. And Duke is 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth worst team in the ACC. So really, their schedule is not as bad for most part the rest of the year, in theory. But upsets do happen. So, anyways, I just want to go over this on how come that happened last night. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get into 400 subscribers or more by the end of this year, or sometime in the future.